What's up, Eagles Nation? Welcome to Week 5 of the NFL season. Excuse me. And the Eagles, of course, coming off a very difficult loss last week against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. I do want to start this video with saying that I got a lot of comments in the last vid, which, of course, was the reactionary vid after the Eagles lost that game. Usually, I don't make vids right after a game. Usually, I try to collect my thoughts a little more and try to, think more about how the game went, whether it was good, bad, or otherwise. And yes, I like to watch the post game show too. So with the Eagles, so I usually don't film right after a game, so I don't, it's just something I usually just don't do for whatever reason. Again, just collect the thoughts a little more, try to, you know, but there are times where yeah, you're gonna react and you're gonna make a vid. I mean, the thing about social media, as we know, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, is it's all about instant reaction. And we have a lot of fans who make videos right after games or during games for various teams, and it gets a lot of reaction because obviously there's emotion involved, and whether it's a big win or a tough loss, you're going to make a vid, and you're going to get a lot of comments. And I know I've done this long enough. I mean, this is my 5th year doing this for the Eagles, and being an Eagles fan, and I know. I mean, after losses, you're going to get the trolls coming in and making comments, and you can always tell the trolls because they're the one that don't have icons for their channel, and they don't have any content in their channel. They don't have any videos or anything, so you can always kind of tell, and it happens. It is what it is. I know the old saying, if you don't react to them, that they'll just stop. I don't know. I just sometimes you do get that you do get argumentative with people. You make comments, and I never mind comments on the vid. I don't. I encourage the fans to come in here, and we can go back and forth a little bit. But I never I won't tell people, oh, don't leave comments and this and that. But you can tell. I mean, after a loss like that, you get more attention. The trolls are out there looking for the videos of fans who just suffered a bad loss, and they're going to say they're crap. But I also had a lot of Titans fans come on and say, oh, you didn't give us enough credit. You didn't give our offensive line enough credit. This offensive line is great and one of the best, and we have this and we have that. And yeah, I mean, look, for that, I apologize. I still feel that was a very winnable game for the Eagles. I mean, let's face the facts. Mariota was still coming off the elbow injury. None of us knew he was going to be throwing the ball around the way he did. And he played well. I mean, look, give him credit. Part of the reason why the Vikings won that game is because of Mariota's play. He played well in that overtime. They went for it. They were aggressive. I gave Vrabel credit last week in saying that they were aggressive, and I applauded him for doing that, for going for it instead of going for the long field goal to tie it in overtime. They went for it on 4th down. They trusted the offense to make those plays, and they did. To the detriment of the Eagles' defense, they did. But let's face the facts. On 4th and 15, the Eagles should have stopped them. Corey Graham should have turned his head and seen that receiver running by him. Should have happened. I still would, and I know the 3rd down play where the Titans scored a touchdown, the Eagles brought a blitz, didn't get there. Mariota had an easy touchdown pass. Well, he put the ball up where his receiver's going to get the ball. But that 4th and 15, I would have brought more pressure. Okay? And certainly Corey Graham should have turned his freaking head and seen that receiver run right by him. Okay? And not give that much space. I know it's almost like this prevent defense is stacking up against the line, but I mean, you got to think they're going to go past the line. You might want to turn your head a little bit there, Corey. You're a veteran. Look, it was a disappointing loss last week. I mean, you're up double digits in the second half. You should have won that game. And part of the reason why, again, and I said this last week, and I don't want to just rehash all last week because it's a new week now. It's week 5. But again, part of the reason why the Eagles lost that game was when the Titans' offensive line wasn't in the game. When the Eagles' offense was in the game against the Titans' defense, and in the red zone, the Eagles were not aggressive enough to score touchdowns instead of settling for field goals. Okay, so that's a big reason why the Eagles lost this game. Look, the Titans made plays. When you convert 3 times on 4th down in overtime and then 3rd down to score the touchdown, you make plays. You earned it. And give them credit. Tip the hat. They made plays. But the Eagles, this game never should have gone to overtime. They should have been more aggressive in the red zone and scored touchdowns instead of settling for field goals. And you want to say, well, that's the Titans' defense. No, I mean, I see the play calling. Again, on the end of the first half, the third and I forget what this is, 3rd and 6, thirds or whatever it was, the Eagles handed the ball off. Instead of going for the end zone, going for a touchdown, they played for the field goal. And those were some points that were taken off the board. Now, would they have scored a touchdown? Who knows? But I would have rather have seen my team try to go for it and be aggressive instead of just settling for a field goal, go up 10-3 at the half, when he had a chance to go up 14-3, and maybe really put the pedal down in the second half and really put this team away. When you have a chance to put a team away, you put them away. When you don't, you saw what happened. That's what happens. Again, you give Tennessee credit, you give their fans credit. You guys got to win. You won the game. I can't. What am I going to do as an Eagles fan, right? You guys won the game. I know we jawed back and forth in that vid. I brought up Super Bowls or whatever. Yeah, it is what it is. But the Titans won the game. To your fans, congratulations. You won the game. Okay? But now it's week 5. So can we get away from week 4? Okay? Can we all move on? Okay? Because it's another week. Okay, so the Eagles this week are playing the Minnesota Vikings. And again, the Vikings, come into this game. And you think of an opponent for what they are doing this season leading up to this game. So the Vikings have lost 2 straight. And I know last week was more of a shootout type of game against the Rams. And they lost a game in L.A. The week before, they were humiliated at home by the Buffalo Bills of all teams. Again, it's an example. You can't take any opponent for granted. You got to play. You can't just put on the uniform and expect to win. You got to play. You got to be up for whoever you're playing. Wins are very important in this league. It's one of the reasons why the Eagles did what they did last year. They had home field advantage in the playoffs. Viking fans remember. This is a game that, look, the Vikings come in with revenge on their mind. Of course, the Falcons did too. We know what happened there, but the Vikings certainly losing in the NFC title game 38-7, humiliated. They got off to a great start, and it all fell apart. The Pat Robinson pick 6 interception really started to stem the game a bit in the Eagles' favor. And the Eagles made plays in that game. And walked away with a big win, went to the Super Bowl, and we know what happened there. But we're talking about this season. The Vikings come into this game, what are they, 2-1, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. The Eagles, of course, are 2-2. Both teams have yet to find an identity this season. They were really good teams a year ago, 2 of the strong teams in the NFC, and of course played each other in the NFC title game. This season, look, they're getting their opponent's best because of what they did. Certainly the Eagles winning a Super Bowl. They're going to get their opponent's best. The Vikings last year were one of the final 4 teams last season, one of the final 2 in the NFC. They're getting their opponent's best games. So obviously it's tough. Heavy's the head that wears the crown. And the Eagles have certainly seen all their opponents' best so far this season. They have been challenged. They have been tested. Every game's been close, down to the wire, nitty-gritty type games. And the Eagles are certainly, 2-2. They have yet to win on the road, but they have yet to lose at home. This is the best home field advantage in football. I'm sorry to the other fan bases, but it is. The Eagles have played exceptionally well at home, particularly on defense, which has been one of their issues. We know about the secondary. We know the struggle with Jalen Mills getting beat every week on a double move. But this team has played well, better defensively at home. Now, I know they might not have uh, um, Derek Barnett, and that's a shame because he's been one of their best pass rushers. He's been one of their best playmakers so far this season on defense, and that's a tough look. That means other guys got to step up. Brandon Graham, look, we love Brandon Graham. We love BG. All right, made the signature defensive play in the Super Bowl last year. The only play really in the Super Bowl for both defenses last season. We love BG. Love the fact that he's come through adversity. He started his career not that great, trying to find himself in the league. He's found himself. He's blossomed and flourished in this defense under Jim Schwartz over the years. We'd like to see more out of him this year. I know he's coming back from injury, and I get that. Want to see more from him this week, particularly because Barnett might not be in there. I don't know if they made it official or not, if he's going to play or not, but he might not be there, and we need that pass rush from BG to be there if Barnett's not going to be there. I know Long's been kind of disappeared the last few weeks too, coming off a strong Week 1 game. Want to see more out of him too, and Michael Bennett. Obviously, if the snaps aren't going to be there for Barnett, that means Bennett's got to get those snaps. It means he's got to step up. He's a veteran. And he's played very well at a high level for many years in Seattle. Like to see what he can do here. This is, though, like I said, this is a big game. This is a kind of show me game for both teams. The Eagles, coming off a tough loss at Tennessee, they're 2-2. The Titans. I keep wanting to think the Titans. The Vikings, obviously, 1-2 and 1-2-1 with a tie at Green Bay, and then of course, 2 straight losses against Buffalo and the Rams. Now, last week, the Vikings offense played pretty good, and Kirk Cousins, I know who's getting the Eagles fits over the years in Washington, played a good game. For the most part. Their defense, though, has really left a lot to be desired this season. And this was one of the best defenses going into that NFC title game last season. There lots of talent on it, lots of pass rush ability. Their secondary is pretty good. I know they're a bit banged up now, and they have some issues there. Their opponents have been having some success against them, certainly more so than they were in the regular season, of course, leading up to the NFC title game last season. This was a defense that was flying around making plays last season. This year, not so much. They really haven't been that strong defense that Viking fans were accustomed to watching. And if I'm not mistaken, maybe Viking fans who watched... Look, I don't watch Viking games, okay? I watch the Eagles games and whatever games on TV. I haven't seen a lot of the Vikings besides what I saw last Thursday night. And look, the Rams are one of the best offenses in the league, so I don't know if you can really gauge it off that game. And it was on the road. But, the Vikings defense to me just hasn't been what it was. Certainly. But you can say the same for the Eagles defense. The Eagles defense have given up a lot of yards. Now points-wise, they're still doing okay. I mean, the bend but don't break. Now, on the road, it hasn't been as great. But at home, they have played a lot better. And certainly they have not given up a lot of points at home in the 2 games. Against the Falcons, who, let's not forget, since that Eagles game have put up a lot more points, and some tough losses for them, but they've certainly played better offensively, and against the Colts. So now you got the Vikings coming in with Kirk Cousins, and let's not sugarcoat this. This is a legit receiving core. You got Diggs, you got Thielen, you got Rudolph. It's a very good receiving core, and we know we've had our problems in the secondary. And what that means is you got to get more pressure on Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins in his career has had good games against the Eagles. He's had good numbers. With the Redskins against the Eagles. So we know who Kirk Cousins is. Now last year, obviously, the Eagles swept Kirk Cousins and the Redskins for the first time ever. And of course he goes to the Vikings, and we get to see him now as a member of the Vikings. The Vikings, look, they felt they got their guy. And I know it's been a bit of a mixed bag so far this season for Kirk Cousins. But I know as an Eagles fan, he's a good quarterback. And if you give him time, he's going to pick you apart. He's going to beat you. It's a very good receiving core he has. And you know, they got Cook in the running game is a young stud running back. The Eagles, though, have played very well against the run, even last week. You know, stuffing up the run. This defense has, the one thing they've been consistent with this season is stopping the run. Their opponent has not been able to run the ball with any kind of success or consistently against this defense. They've been very good, and they were very good last season, and they were very good, you know, at taking that element away from their opponents. One of the reasons why they had so much success last season. And last season, though, they were getting more turnovers. This season so far, the Eagles only have 4 turnovers. They're averaging 1 turnover a game, and you got to get more turnovers. When there's opportunities to get turnovers, you got to get them. And they were very opportunistic last season. They haven't been that this season. I think right now they have a ratio of 4 and 7 against. So, you know, you would like to see them get more turnovers in this game if possible, getting short fields for this offense. Because when you are playing a good defense, that's one of the things that you want to try to do anyhow, is get a shorter field. Get those turnovers in key spots. You know, switch that playing field so it favors your offense against their defense instead of the other way around. We saw that last week. The Eagles had a bad turnover there, led to a short field for the Titans, and the Titans had the momentum at that time going, and they were able to tie the game. Or I think at that point maybe go ahead, or whatever it was at that situation. So the Eagles, again, defensively, I'd like to see them get more pressure on Cousins. Maybe it means you blitz a little more. I know Jim Schwartz is not a big blitz defensive coordinator. He's never been, and I don't think he ever will be. But I do think that this week, maybe you want to blitz a little more, disguise a little way you're playing defense. Teams got film on you. And I know sometimes it's easier to say that to do to stop it. Well, they say the Seahawks had like 6 defensive formations, and they just kept doing it and said, all right, you want to beat us? You try it. You know, this is back in the Legion of Boom days, and they still had a lot of success with it. But they had personnel to do it. They had guys in the secondary that can get it done. This secondary has not been able to do it. We know about Jalen Mills. He's been beat to death so far this week. The double moves, the stupid penalties, the mistakes. Corey Graham was another guy under fire this week. You know, look, as a unit, they have to play better. They do. And I know McLeod was a big loss. And yeah, we won't be getting Earl Thomas because he gets hurt, right? I know I make that video and then Earl... This is part of the reason why usually I wait to make videos after a game. Because I was really beating the drum for Earl Thomas, and then he gets hurt, and he gives the finger to his team. And then, you know. But, so look, we're not going to have any answers to come in and for safety. The big loss for Rodney McLeod. You just have to piece it together, whether it's Graham, whether it's someone else on the roster. I don't know. But what I do know is whoever it is, they have to play better than they did last week. That was a disaster last week. Even when they weren't beat, it was because the receiver dropped a pass on Tennessee. I mean, this secondary could have given up a lot more than they did. They were very fortunate with some of those drops, including a big one in overtime. And then, of course, the 4th and 15 they get. Corey Graham. So, anyhow, maybe you want to turn your head and look when the guy... I mean, I'm just saying, just maybe... Anyhow, enough of last week. This is a secondary that has to play better. But this is also a defense that has to play better. It goes across the board. Defensive line's got to get more pressure consistently on the quarterback. The linebackers have got to play better in coverage. You know, how many times last week and over the season so far we see wide open over the middle receivers, tight ends, running backs. Got to play better as a unit in the linebacking core as well. And in the secondary, again, we know Jalen Mills' problems with the double moves. It's going to happen again. They're playing Diggs this week on that side, or Thielen. One of them is going to put on a double move on Jalen Mills, and he's going to be chasing. He does it every week. Why would this week be any different, right? But you got to play better across the board. This is a defense that should play better. Got to play better. Got to step up. Yes, you're playing at home, and they've been much better at home than on the road, but you got to play better. You got to step up. This is a big game, a big week, big challenge. against a good offense. Offensive side of the ball, offensive line's got to play better, and they're capable of doing it. And so far this season, it's been very inconsistent play. They're giving up a lot of pressure on whether it was Foles or Wentz. Just way too much pressure has been given up, and they have to do better protecting number 11. He's your asset. He's your franchise quarterback. You got to protect him. And to a man, they said that this week. Look, they've said all the right things going into this week. Now, saying it and doing it are two different things. You got to do it. I expect this offensive line to play better this week. I don't know. I know there's been a lot of inconsistencies, I know, but I expect them to play better. I expect them to step up, this week and have a better game. I mean, look, the underdog role served them well going to the Super Bowl last week, and look, this week they've been beaten around. I mean, the national pundits, the local media, us in the fan base. I mean, they've been kicked around this week, and rightfully so after what happened last week. Okay, you gotta step up. You're a defending Super Bowl champ. You gotta step up. This is a big game. This is a big week. You're playing a team that's coming in off 2 straight losses, but they know what happened to them last year. They're looking for revenge. It's still a good team in Minnesota. It's a good team, and it's a challenge this week. Based off how this team has played so far, you're going up against a team that has. We'll say, I know they're 1-2-1 coming in, but Super Bowl aspirations this week. It's a big game at home. Your fans are going to be there. Your fans are going to be in full throat, as they are every home game. Great home field advantage. They got to step up, because the Vikings. Look, they're desperate. They need this game. They need to get back on track, right? Particularly when you look at their division, how it's shaping up. When you got the Packers, being Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, and you got the Bears playing really well. So it's not an easy division for them. So they know every loss, particularly early in the season, they don't want to be buried. They're coming into this game with extra rest because they played last Thursday, with the mentality that this is a must-win for them. And we have a chance to, I don't want to say bury them, because who knows how the rest of the season can go, but really put a big hurt on them for their rest of the season aspirations if we can get this win. And again, they're coming in with that, like I said before, and you've heard, I don't know, stop me if you've heard this before, but revenge on their mind from last season. And look, it's a good team. They haven't played up to their potential, I would say, but it's a good team, and you don't want to just let them come in here and be all comfortable playing on your home field. There are screws that need to be tightened. There are things that need to be changed for this team to get back to playing the way we know they're capable of playing. And whether or not they get a Le'Veon Bell this season or some other player in trade, the players that are on this team right now, we know what they're capable of doing because we saw it. And I know it's a year-to-year thing. And why are dynasties so hard to get? Because every year are going to represent different challenges. What the Patriots have been able to do is incredible, because you don't have that as often as you would think in the NFL. It doesn't work that way. There are some teams that are consistently, good. There are some teams that are consistently bad. But dynasties are so hard to get. And that's one of the reasons why you see teams, they win a Super Bowl and then maybe they're successful, but to get back to it or to win it again. Even teams that lose in the Super Bowl, right? How often do you see them just continually get back? And it's hard. It's hard because the league always adjusts. Teams always adjust. They have you circled on the schedule, when you're a defending champ or a defending, runner-up even. You have to adjust with that, Teams have you. They have the blueprint. When you're a team that has the success the Eagles had, you're going to get the attention of other coaching staffs and other teams. So you have to adjust with that. You have to step your game up that much more. And to this point, the team hasn't done it. Look, the quarterback's played well. Carson Wentz, coming off the injury, he's played tremendous so far. He hasn't been protected as well as he should be by the offensive line, so they got to do a better job at that. And I understand the tight ends aren't as good blocking as Brent Selleck once was, one of the all-time greats in Eagles history, but they have to do better. Rolling coverages there, maybe use running backs more for blocking, I don't know, but they have to do better at protecting number 11. I know he can make plays with his feet. He's done it so far. He's shown that he can still do that. But you got to protect him. He's your biggest asset. You got to protect him. Okay? But you are going to get your opponent's best every week. And I just don't think this team was ready for that this season. And I hope they are now. I mean, I really hope that last week was the eye-opening slap in the face that they needed. You know, just wake up. You know, you are going to get your opponent's best, whether you're playing at home or away. You have to be ready for that. You have to match that intensity. And so far, we haven't seen that for portions of games this season. You can't just put on the uniform and say, well, we're defending champs. We can just show up and win. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't even work that way for the Patriots. They got to do, they got to change they got to step their level of game up that much more. And we even saw that the last 2 weeks now with the Patriots. They were hit in the mouth. They were punched in the face. They lost at Detroit some weeks ago. I know against their old defensive coordinator and Patricia, but they lost that game. They were humiliated. And what did they do the last 2 weeks? They stepped up to the challenge, and they won the last 2 weeks. Okay? So this Eagles team has the potential and the talent to do that, to overcome the start of the season and to get back on track and to win some games, strictly at home here, where they have enjoyed a very good home field advantage. They got to keep that going. The Vikings come in with revenge on their mind, not just revenge, forget the revenge. They just want to get a win because they've lost 2 straight. They're a wounded animal. Okay, so you're going to get their best. You got to be ready for that. You got to match that intensity. And I know the fans are going to be there, and they're going to energize this team, but you got to play it. You got to match the intensity of your opponent and beat them. Find a way. Keep that home field advantage going. Step up. These guys have been challenged this week, and there's a lot of leaders on this team. They have got to lead. Tough one last week. It was a winnable game that they let get away. You don't want to have that too many times, otherwise you're behind the 8 ball, going into a playoff type situation. This team is, like I said, they are capable of turning it around. They have the players, they have the coaching staff. They got to do it. They got to find a way. And whether or not you trade for Le'Veon Bell or not, it's still up in the air. There's a side that doesn't want to do it. There's a side that wants to do it. I don't know. But what I know is that we don't have Le'Veon Bell this week. We don't have Le'Veon Bell on this team. The players that are on this team, they got to step up. And the coaching staff's got to step up. And I'm not saying you run the ball 2 out of 3 downs, but you got to establish a running game. You got to run the ball a little better than certainly 50 passes last week. And when they were running the ball, when they did run the ball, the little time that they did, they were averaging something about 8 yards a carry. I mean, they were doing really good. And in that overtime, they ran the ball, they got down the field, and then sometimes you outthink yourself. Sometimes you outsmart yourself. And I think that's what this team did last week. I'm not taking credit away from the Titans. The Titan fans don't think I'm doing that, but got to play better. Got to play better. And I've seen this team play better. I know what they're capable of doing. I'm not just saying they won a Super Bowl. I know what they did last season with Carson Wentz when he was an MVP candidate, when this offense was putting up 40 points on their opponents, when they were playing dominant on defense, and they got to get back to that. I know it's hard. I know it's a season-to-season thing. It's a week-to-week thing. But this team is capable of dominance and dominant play, and that's what I hope they get back to. And regardless if it's a 38-7 game again tomorrow night, or tomorrow evening, or if it's a if it's a 17-14 game, I want to see this team win tomorrow. I want to see them get back to doing the things that I know they're capable of doing. And I know they've had injuries. They had injuries last season. And you can't get away with it every year, I get that. But can't use injuries as an excuse. You got to fight through it, you got to push through it, and you got to keep doing the things that this team is capable of doing, winning ball games. So let's go Birds tomorrow, big one. Game of the week on Fox, national TV audience for the most part. Get back to it. This is a home field advantage that is one of the best, if not the, I say it's the best in the league. I know these fans are going to be there. Hey, look, we're there week after week. And the people that want to say stuff, listen, I come on here YouTube every week for now 5 years, 5 seasons, whether it's a win or a loss after every game, and I give you my opinion. And whether it's right or wrong, whether I don't always have all the X's and O's in front of me, all the stats in front of me, but I give my opinion of what I saw with these eyes watching these games. I don't know everything about every opponent. I'm not a scout. Okay, I don't work at NFL Network where I have all these runners here giving me all this information and paperwork in front of me. Okay, but I speak from the heart, and I speak as being a fan. I'm not always right. I don't profess to be. I'm a fan. I'm a fan making videos on YouTube. So I don't always have all the information about the games, but I go by feel and what I saw or what I hope to see week after week. Okay, that's how I've done it. That's how I'll probably always do it. I might throw some stats at you from time to time. I might have some information, but for the most part, I'm just sitting here talking to you. Hey, I'm in the man cave talking to you. Okay, so you're sitting in here in the man cave with me, talking football, talking about the Eagles, and as a fan, this is what I want to see, or as a fan, this is what I saw after a game. I give you my reactions to it. So again, look, big game tomorrow, national game again, the game of the week on Fox, and I look forward to it. I look forward to the challenge. I think this team has been rightfully challenged this week. I look forward to seeing how they respond, and I believe they can respond, and I believe they will. I think we get a win and beat the Vikings, and sorry to the Viking fans, send you guys home. I remember last year, by the way. I don't want to keep bringing up last year, but I remember last year after the Eagles lost to Seattle. There was a Viking fan troll who came onto my channel and started writing all this stuff on that vid I made after the Eagles lost at Seattle. And one of the things I always remember him saying, the Eagles were exposed. They were exposed. And he started doing all that skull stuff with me. There were, all right, I guess they were exposed, 38-7. I guess you're lucky they were exposed. Otherwise, maybe it would have been a 50 burger on your team in the NFC title game, okay? So, I just remember that. After that loss at Seattle, a Vikings fan came up. A game that had nothing to do with his team. A Seahawks-Eagles game, right? A Viking fan came and wanted to talk it up. All right, we saw how that worked for you last year, didn't it? Yeah, we beat you in the NFC title game, and we won our first ever Super Bowl in your stadium. So there you go. So that's why I'm saying, be careful. Be careful. You come on the challenge, you start running your mouths after games. Be careful. I don't do that. I don't go to other people's channels, after the Eagles win. Like, if they beat the Vikings, I'm not going on the Vikings fans' channels. I'm happy my team won. I'm not. The TTC does it. They're great at it. I'm not a member of the TTC. This is not what I do. I make videos on YouTube. I talk about my team. I talk to other Eagle fans about the team. I listen to sports talk radio about the team. I watch stuff about the team. I don't go on other people's channels and run my mouth and talk all this stuff. It's just not what I do. People that do it, I don't hold it against you. It's what you enjoy doing. I'm never going to stop people doing what they enjoy, but I'm not one of those people that goes on other people's channels and runs my mouth after games. Because as that Viking fan found out last year, you might want to be careful because you never know. You might think you're safe. And then your team gets destroyed in the NFC title game against my team. Then what do you say? I didn't hear from him after that for some reason last year. Haven't heard from him again. I don't know why. I don't know what happened last year. He kind of disappeared after that game. All right, everyone, let's go, Birds. Let's get a big win in South Philly tomorrow against those Vikings. Send those Viking fans home and happy again. Send them back to Minnesota and happy again. And we'll get back in the winning ways and then get ready for a short week get ready for those division opponent New York Giants the following week. So, big week here, big game, rebound type of game for both teams, really. But hopefully our Birds come out on top and get the win, and we get to get back in the win column and start feeling a little good again, because it's been a tough week. It's been a tough week, so let's get back to in the winning ways. All right, everyone, take care. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you after the game.